There is a quite marvelous resource that I have used now for many years. This resource identifies the thoughts which underpin various chronic illnesses. We know our thoughts are the most powerful force in the world. If we know in our minds, our hearts, and our souls that recovery is unfolding for us successfully, it will. And if we also think in our heart, mind, and soul that recovery is impossible, well, it will be impossible. Now, this resource is right here. It's a marvelous little book, Louise Hay, Heal Your Body. The question then turns on, let's just select one illness. And since I've been studying for many years Parkinson's disease, what does Louise Hay say is the thought form that winds up underpinning the symptoms associated with the diagnosis of Parkinson's disease? So I'll read you exactly what she says. Parkinson's disease: fear and an intense desire to control everything and everyone. All right, so the real issue turns out to be an issue of control. And for individuals with neurological challenges, the real problem is there is a feeling of being out of control. And so there's a loss of being able to control your life and your decisions. So let me give you an example. As I think I've mentioned previously, I've interviewed well over 1,000 individuals who experience symptoms associated with a diagnosis of Parkinson's disease. So I've got lots and lots of stories that I have heard. In many cases, the person will tell me, I'll ask the question, well, how have you been spending the last week? How have you been allocating your resources and your time and your energy? The answer is, well, let's see, on Monday, I saw Dr. A. On Tuesday, Dr. B. On Wednesday, Dr. C. On Thursday, I had to go to the hospital for a test, et cetera, et cetera. In other words, every day they are going to different medical professionals. Well, great to get that kind of opinion. And then the next thing I say is, okay, well, how was that working for you? And they'll say, oh, I got to tell you, the first doctor told me that I had Parkinson's. The second doctor told me I had Alzheimer's. The third doctor said that I had something that was kind of like Parkinson's, but they thought there was maybe an infection involved. So the person is saying, I mean, what's going on here? I can't make any sense out of any of this. Everybody is telling me different kinds of things, making different recommendations. I mean, it really feels like everything is out of control. Well, it is, obviously. So I just want to point out that if this resonates with you, if you're feeling like you are out of control, if in fact it is the case that whatever symptoms you experience, they are controlling you rather than you controlling the symptoms and being in control of your life, then the symptoms will persist and continue. So let me just give you an example of where you can transform your attitudes of what's happening. Let's take the particular example of tremors, the shaking of a part of the body. Let's say it's a shaking of the hand. All right, so what would be the interpretation of what that means for most people? Most people would say, what's going on? I've got to stop this. And they'll take their hand and they'll do something so that the actual shaking stops. My body is broken. This should not be happening to me. Help, help, help. I'm out of control. My tremor is controlling me. All right, let's just transform that. And the way to transform that is to realize, how does the body release stresses and traumas of the day, of the week, of the past year, of a lifetime? Well, if you look at what animals do, when animals get stressed, a little dog all of a sudden confronts a big dog, they'll get still. And hopefully the big dog passes and doesn't eat them up. And then when the big dog passes successfully, what the little dog does is they shake. They shake all around. They shake it off. Well, what do we do when we are stressed? And again, we're talking about a lifetime. As a child, as a teenager, as a young adult, what do we do when we are confronted with these challenging situations? A boss that all of a sudden tells us some really awful, ugly, untrue things about us or our work. How do we respond? Well, typically, we don't shake. That's not appropriate. But what we do is we get all of a sudden still. We get still. And we let it pass. And finally, the person walks away. and we say, oh, finally, that person is gone. Do we shake it out? No. Well, it's stuck in the body. How does the body release that experience? The body needs to shake. So if you happen to have the challenge of a tremor, adopt the thought of, oh, thank you, body. Not sure why you're doing this, but go ahead and shake all you need to shake. It looks like you're allowing some of these embedded stresses that I've experienced to be released out into the ethers. Thank you. I really appreciate what you're doing, body. And I know that what you're doing is in my best and highest good. So in other words, that's a way to transform the feeling of I'm out of control, the tremor is affecting me, from I'm in control. I'm in control because I recognize and acknowledge my body has this wisdom of being able to heal from the inside out. Let me conclude now my explanation with what Louise Hay, in the Bible here that I use, about what is the thought form that you need to adopt. What she says is, if you happen to have a diagnosis of Parkinson's, here's the mantra. I relax knowing that I am safe. Life is for me, and I trust the process of life.